South of Everdell lie the Great Spirecrest Mountains, and beyond these sprawls a beautiful land. A more rugged and tough land, the citizens here have to brave harsh winters, but they have a unique and special relationship with the big critters of this land, and they can call upon them for aid. This land is Silverfrost, which was designed by James and Clarissa A. Wilson and published by Tabletop Tycoon, who helped sponsor this video. Hi everybody, my name is Nick Murphy of the Brothers Murph, and we are here with Board Game Geek. Well, we've crossed the mountains and now we're here in this beautiful snowy landscape. I think it's time to learn how to play Silverfrost. Silverfrost is set in the beautiful Everdell universe, but this land has a frosty twist. Players will be placing their workers around the board, gaining resources, playing critters and constructions into their cities, clearing out snow, and calling on the aid of the famed big critters when they need help. And yes, you heard that correctly, you will have to deal with snow piling up around the board and in your cities, and you'll have to use fire to clear it out. But before we get into all that, let's go over the setup. I want to quickly note that this video was made with an advanced prototype, so not all pieces may exactly match the final production. Place the main board in the center of the table and place the mountain along the top of the board here. Place the various resources by their designated spots like this. Place the fire tokens near the hot springs and place the snow tokens at the peak of the mountain. Place one beacon per player on the mountain according to the player count. Take the blue Highland quest cards, shuffle them and draw one per player plus one and place them alongside the board. Return the rest of the box. Shuffle the green Lowland quest cards and place them in a face-down stack near the guild. Shuffle all big critter cards into a face-down stack and place them to the left of the mountain. Then place one big critter card face up on each of the 4 spaces on the mountain. Shuffle the main deck of cards, place 8 in the valley, and place the rest in a face-down deck next to the board. Note that if there are ever duplicate cards in the valley, stack them on top of each other and draw a new card to fill in the space. There should always be 8 unique cards in the valley. Place the Winter's Fury tile on the board with the one fireside face up. Remove the cards from the Snowstorm deck that do not match your player count. For example, remove 3 and 4 player cards if you're only playing with 2 players. Shuffle the remaining cards and place them in their spot on the board face down. Choose which snow reward side you would like to play on. This side is for a more competitive game and this side is a bit less so. Each player chooses a worker type and takes 2 of those workers. Place snowshoes on one of these workers. This is your ranger and we'll talk about them a bit later. Then place your other workers near the season area, 1 for autumn, 1 for winter, and 2 for spring. Place 1 chimney per player in the autumn and winter areas. Each player draws 2 Lowland quest cards, chooses one to keep, and places the other at the bottom of the deck. Keep these quests secret. The first player draws 5 cards from the main deck, the second player draws 6, the third player draws 7, and the fourth player draws 8. If you do not like your starting hand, you may discard the entire hand once and redraw. The coldest player goes first, and now we're ready to begin. Silverfrost is played over 4 seasons. On your turn, you may do one of 3 things. You may place a worker, play a card, or prepare for the next season. Unlike some other games in this world, we will be going through winter, and so snow is a big part of the game. Throughout the game, snow tokens will be placed on the board, in the valley, and in your own city. Whenever you want to interact with any of these things, you will need to clear out the snow before you can. One snow token is cleared by discarding 1 fire token, though this cost will increase later in the game. Whenever you clear snow, make sure to keep the token as it will matter for endgame scoring. So if you want to place your worker on this spot here, you would have to pay 1 fire token to clear the snow before you can activate it. Speaking of workers, there are a number of different places that they can be placed. Spaces with a single paw print are exclusive spaces and only 1 worker can be there. If there are multiple paw prints, any number of workers can be there, including multiple from the same player. On top of needing fire to clear out snow, some spaces also require you to spend a fire to go there, like this spot here. Before we go over the locations, let's quickly talk about your ranger with the snowshoes. Your ranger is special in 2 ways. 1, they may go to spaces that are exclusive and already have an opponent's worker present. And 2, if they go to a space and they're alone, they may immediately gain a fire token. Meaning you could use your ranger to go to a space that requires fire or has snow, immediately gain a fire token, and use it on that space. Note that your ranger may not go to an exclusive space that already has one of your workers on it or another ranger. Now let's talk about the spaces. The 4 basic locations at the bottom of the board are exclusive locations and will gain you the resources shown at that location. Down here we have birch, moss, copper, and acorns. At the hot springs, you will gain 2 fire and gain 2 cards from the main deck. Note that whenever you get to draw cards, you are always drawing them from the main deck unless the ability explicitly says to draw them from the face-up valley. The beacon spots are how you signal the big critters for help. You must pay a fire token when going to a beacon space. Then you may activate one of the 4 big critters. Each big critter will have an ability that you will activate, and then you will gain the points shown next to the big critter space if there are any. For example, Ember Bright lets you give him 1 resource of your choice for 4 fire tokens in return. Each big critter can only be activated once. Once you have finished with the card, it will be discarded, all critters will shift to fill in the space, and a new big critter card is drawn. At the guild is where you can complete quests. There are 2 kinds of quests in the game: Highland quests, which are public and all players are racing to complete, and Lowland quests, which are secret quests in the player's hands. When you go to the guild, you may complete one of these quests. Each quest card has a requirement shown at the top, and you must be able to achieve this at the moment you take the guild action. Many quests require you to compare your city to the player on your left, and timing is important because any cards with snow on them do not count when doing quests. And this could be good or bad for you. In this example, the player to your left has 4 green cards, but 2 are covered with snow. You have 3 green cards that aren't covered, so you can claim the Sprouts quest. After you finish a quest, you will keep the card and it will be worth the points shown at the end of the game. After you achieve the quest, or if you go to the guild and can't finish a quest, you will always draw 2 new Lowland quest cards, keep one and place the other at the bottom of the deck. The journey space you can only use in the final season, which is spring. When you go here, you will have to discard a certain number of cards from your hand and you will gain the points shown next to the space at the end of the game. Note that your ranger may not go to these exclusive spaces if they're already taken. The last space your workers can go to is on red destination cards. Red cards played into your city have a worker placement space on them, and you may place your worker here to do that action. On some cards, there's a community spot on the right, and another player may place their worker in this spot to activate your card, though doing this gives the owner a point token. So in this way, each destination card may be activated by its owner and possibly one other player. Note that your ranger may not go to a destination card if there's already a worker present. Okay, so that's all of the worker placement spaces. Now let's talk about playing cards. When you play a card, it will go down into your city. Your city can have a maximum of 15 cards, and be careful because it's rare you will ever get to discard a card from your city. Once it's there, it's there. When you play a card, you may play a card from your hand or from the face-up valley. Remember that if the card from the valley that you want to play has snow on it, you will need to spend a fire token to clear that snow first. At the end of your turn, refill the valley so it has 8 cards in it. There are 2 kinds of cards in the game: critters and constructions. Critters usually take acorns to put into place, and constructions take combinations of birch, moss, and copper. Though there is an alternate way to play critters, and that is by spending one of your chimneys. You will gain 2 chimneys throughout the game, and they can be placed onto constructions to play critters for free. Which critters a construction can play for free is shown on the construction card here. Place the chimney on the construction card and play the critter for free. Each construction can only have 1 chimney on it, but note there are a few abilities that allow you to move and reuse a chimney. On top of the critters and construction signifiers, cards can be one of 5 types, and they all work a bit differently. Green production cards activate immediately when they are played, and then once again when you enter autumn and then spring. Tan traveler cards activate immediately when you play them and then never again. Red destination cards have worker placement spots on them, and we've already spoken about them. Blue governance cards will have abilities that will trigger at various times during the game as stated on their card. And finally, purple prosperity cards will trigger at the end of the game and will provide endgame scoring. A few notes about the cards in your city. Cards can either be common or unique, and this is shown here with unique cards having a snowflake. You may have multiple copies of common cards in your city, but only one of each unique card. Also, if there is snow on a card, its ability will not activate. For example, this blue card won't activate when I play a construction because there is snow on it. This green card won't reactivate when I go into spring because there's a snow on it. Though once per turn, you may at any time spend a fire token to remove a snow token from your city. The last kind of action you may take on your turn is to prepare for next season. We start in summer and we will go into autumn, then winter, and then end in spring. Once you have used all of your workers, you may prepare for season on your next turn. Note that if you have no workers and are unable to play a card, you must prepare for season. And players can prepare for seasons at different times, meaning one player may be in autumn while everyone else is still back in summer. When preparing for season, you will retrieve all of your workers back to your supply, freeing up those spaces. You will also gain fire tokens based on the number of cards in your city and gain workers workers, and possibly a new chimney. In autumn and spring, you will also activate your green production cards, and the first player that prepares for winter will refresh all of the big critters and activate the winter's fury tile. This will increase the fire cost to clear snow for all players for the rest of the game. When you prepare, you will also have to bring more snow into the world with these snowstorm cards. The blue area of the season space shows how snow will enter the game. The number and icon here will show how many snowstorm cards you will reveal, and the number and icon here shows how much snow you will place in your personal city. You will reveal each snowstorm card one at a time and place one snow onto the board where it's shown on the card. For example, this snowstorm card would cover up the top left location at the guild, and this card would cover the third card in the valley. When placing snow in your city, you will place it on the highest point value card available that doesn't already have snow on it. If there's a tie between cards, you will place snow on cards in this order: purple cards first, then blue, then green, then red, and finally tan. If there's still a tie, you may choose where to place it. If you have to place more snow than you have cards in your city, place all that you can and then the rest are not placed. The turn after you prepare for season is like any other turn, and you may place a worker or play a card. When you're in spring and you do not have any more actions, your game is over. Once all players have concluded all actions they can do in spring, the game ends. Once all players have passed out of spring, the game is over and we move into final scoring. Players will score points for the base value of all cards in their city shown here. Purple prosperity cards will also score now. For example, the Guildmaster will score 2 bonus points for each quest you have achieved of either type. Any quests you have achieved are worth the points shown on their card. You will now reward snow points. If playing on this side, each player scores 1 point for every snow they have cleared, and the player who cleared the most scores an additional 5 points. If playing on this side, the player who cleared the most snow scores 12 points and everyone else scores nothing. Note that ties and snow scoring are friendly. You will score points if you placed a worker on a journey space in spring, and finally you will count any points tokens you accumulated during the game. Add all this up and the player with the most points will win. If players are tied, the player who cleared the most snow is the winner, and more tiebreakers can be found in the rulebook. And that is how to play Silverfrost. Silverfrost follows in the footsteps of its cousin Everdell, but with some tough twists. You will be placing workers and growing your city, but you always have the threat of the incoming snow. Snow will be piling up in your city and on the board, and it's up to the players to clear it out. But you do have the help of the big critters who are always willing to be called upon when you light the beacons. And if Silverfrost seems like a game you'd enjoy, make sure to check it out and learn more. And until next time, I've been Nick Murphy, and that is how to play Silverfrost. Have a great day.